Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the meeting. Unmute yourself, Dr. Shah, if you want to talk. Whoever wants to talk can talk. And we're waiting for more people, inshallah, to join. So we have Brother Ahmad, Rizan, Dr. Shah, and hoping more to attend within the next couple of minutes. We're going to go through the subject, but if there is then we will come back again, reconnect again at the end, inshallah. So can we make a start? I usually ask people to participate at the beginning about the subject. The subject, as you know, is what Allah Azza wa Jal wants us to, or how to address the issues of LGBT. How do we address it? So anyone wants to start? How would you address it, Ahmad, Riza?
Sorry, Dr. Gama, I was on mute. You can address it several ways. For a start, biology. You know, male and female have different chromosomes. So yeah. What was the question again?
How Allah expects you to talk about it? You are a Muslim and you are expected to talk about this LGBTQ issues. Right. Being a Muslim, how would you address it if somebody asks you in the network or in a meeting or in a gathering? What's the view of Islam about LGBT?
So in Islam, it's haram. It's haram because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created men and women as pairs. Biologically, it's not right because men and women are different in terms of their chromosomes. Other than that, you know, in Islam it's haram, but it might be acceptable for others to practice homosexuality, but in Islam it's haram.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Shah, do you want to have a go? You need to unmute yourself.
I never thought that I'm going to be asked this question. To me, as a Muslim, LGBTQ is not right. As a Muslim, I don't believe in this LGBTQ plus, but I don't have really enough knowledge to give my opinion. So maybe you can ask somebody else who probably have more knowledge than me about it.
Okay, so what I will do...
It's not just Islam. You are working against nature.
So discussing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger expect us to talk about Islam. I switched on the stream on Facebook, so that's why I repeated the title. Says not only in Islam, it's in other religions.
That's right. It's against nature. You are working against nature.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but mainly they're practiced in mainly Christian and Jewish societies. One of the Jewish people who are talking against AI, he himself said he is married to a man. So Judaism doesn't agree with it in Palestine, in Israel, but people still practice it and it's legal in a way there. We have somebody else joined. Do you want to have a go? Another guy joined.
Yeah, I'll let him have a go. But I've not come across any religion which accepts homosexuality. In fact, I was reading a lot of statistics. Majority of the world population disagree with it. There's a company recently, one of the alcohol companies in the state, used a transgender person to promote their product, and the sales went down by 10%. And they had a lot of abuse from people saying, "Look, this is totally wrong," and that was in the States.
Yeah, we have a sister joined. Do you want to have a go? Or shall I go through my presentation, which will show my understanding? I don't have a microphone. It's okay. I'll go through my presentation, and then you can chop in the on the way if you want to raise a point, or you want to keep it till the end. I personally address it this way. That I will address it this way. We will think about duality, whether you have a body and soul or just body. And then we will look into the human rights and who decide the human rights in Islam. And third point, could be legal but haram for Muslims. Number 4, if somebody is born a gay and he doesn't practice, will he be rewarded if he refrains or not? And number 5 will be people who never marry, they are hasur. Would you accuse them of anything? And like Sayyidina Yahya, Prophet Yahya, he never married. Isa never married. He will come back and get married. One of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, Hassan ibn Thabit, never married. So how Islam view it? So my understanding from Islam, we are created from a body and soul. Because Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the Quran. So the soul is the driver of the car, and the car is the body. So that's your body. The soul come later, after the body is actually created. Then the angel come and blow the soul into the body when you are 120 days old. So you become like a human being. The soul outside the body called spirit, and when it enters the body, become soul. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. So Allah Azza wa Jalla created us from a single soul and created a similar to it of like nature, another soul, and from both he has driven a lot of men and women. So if you are Arab or you know Arabic grammar, you will find that from the ayah here, Allah created us from a single female soul. He gives the soul, address it as a single female. The soul has no gender. So وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا here, minha from the female, not minhu. Because people think that Eve created from the rib of Adam. The ayah here is the other way around. It sounds like Adam created from Eve. But in fact, the soul in this ayah shows that the soul has no gender. This is why it's addressed as a single female. When you talk about a cat, you say it is. You talk about a tree, it is. You don't give it a gender. So the soul in Islam has no gender. What decides the gender is actually the body. The body, Allah the Prophet ﷺ said, Eve, Hawa, created from خلقت حواء من ضلع. ضلع, which is a rib. Rib, people might think it is your chest rib, which is not, because Hawa is not cloned from Adam, because she has X chromosomes and Adam has XY chromosome. But the extra rib, which is the Y had extra rib, became XX. So the chromosomes decide that this is a body of a man, this is a body of a woman. The spirit is the same. So you as a person have no gender. The soul has no gender. So if somebody says that I was created in the body of a woman, who are you? Do you mean the spirit? If he means the spirit, then this is a religious concept and the spirit has no gender. If it happened that your body is a female body, you are female, you act as a female, but the spirit is no gender. So all the spirits are the same, the man and the woman, spiritually the same. And when you go to الروح itself, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, قُلُ الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. That the spirit is a matter belongs to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and you only given little of knowledge about the spirit. Practicing LGBT in Islam, the person who practices is not committing a sin if he is not a Muslim. Do you want to comment on this? So you can't say to somebody who's a gay or lesbian or bisexual, he is in a sin. Why is that? He's not committing a sin. Anybody? So you can't say to him he's a sinner. If he's a Muslim, yes, it is a sin.
Well, so if you are a non-believer, then by default you are a sinner.
But it's
So
not
if you
considered a sin because, like, if
You
you
are-
are an ambassador of China in London,
Mhm.
that British law doesn't apply to you. So
Mhm.
it's known in London that a lot of these cars who have a diplomatic number plate, they are not fined and they're not considered at breaking the law.
Yeah, so it's like anything else, really. So you know, if you are a non-Muslim, drinking alcohol is not a sin.
Yeah. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, in 2 ayahs, in Surah Al-Rahman, he said, فَيَوْمَئِذٍ لَا يُسْأَلُ عَنْ ذَنْبِهِ إِنسٌ وَلَا جَانٌ. The Day of Judgment, no one will be questioned about his sin. Contrary to a lot of us understanding. And in another ayah, قال إنما about قارون, قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي أولم يعلم أن الله قد أهلك من قبله القرون من قبله من القرون من هو أشد منه قوة وأكثر جمعا ولا يسأل عن ذنوبهم المجرمون. That here, that the wrongdoers, the criminals, the unbelievers, they will not be asked about their sins. Why is that? Because the biggest sin is shirk. And once he is a mushrik, once he is a kafir, he doesn't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, he will go to hell. Allah will not come and ask about, probably he will discuss with him his crimes, but it's not the big issue. The big issue, he doesn't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and he goes to hell, no matter whether he has committed a lot of sins or no sins. So
That's right. So that's like the I think example that we used. If someone's murdered someone, he'll be done for murdering.
yeah,
And anything lesser, say if you've stolen someone's pen or something, the judge is not going to ask you about that.
yeah, he will not say, I will repeat the court
That's
procedure
right.
because there's another crime committed.
That's right.
He stole a pen or a pencil or a pair of socks. So all the sins are irrelevant compared to the disbelief in Allah Azza wa Jal. So you can't come to somebody who doesn't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and you say to him it's haram, it's forbidden to commit adultery, or haram, forbidden to drink alcohol, or forbidden to eat pork, because it doesn't apply to him. It's not a sin for him. It's a sin for a Muslim if he's a Muslim. So these things could be legal in UK, but haram in Islam. And it's similar, like eating pork is haram in Islam, but it's legal in Britain. Alcohol, drinking alcohol, gambling, using recreation drugs, pornography, consented sex, which is really awful. But they say, oh, it's not a crime, she consented. LGBT, all the actions there are not, they are legal in Britain with consent and above the legal age, 18, they take it. Changing original creation, which is haram in Islam, it's act of bliss, but it is accepted in Britain. If somebody wants to chop his genitals or she wants to chop her breast and things. Mimicking opposite sex is haram in Islam, but nobody say at all anything about it in this country. Or revealing clothes, semi-naked, and khalwa, being a man and a woman who are not married in a room and she's not related to him, or marrying milk. So there's a lot of things which are legal in UK, but it's haram in Islam. So when you come and talk about LGBT, don't expect that people will listen to you what Islam says. You need to talk to them about believing in Allah Azza wa Jal, not at all to discuss the LGBT, whether it's good or bad. We know it's bad because Allah said that, and we don't put our opinion in it. So when you go to Islam, there's 21 major sins, which is all equal to each other. So you have disrespecting, associating a partner with Allah is the biggest sin and will never be forgiven. But all these sins could be forgiven. And some of them are punishable in this life and some punishable in the hereafter. But they are similar. I mean, disrespecting parents is the third awful, or the second awful or big sin in Islam. How many disrespect their parents? It's worse than being lesbian or gay. If somebody disrespects his parents, or killing is worse than being gay. False witnessing, adultery. There are hierarchy to these in actually the Quran and the Hadith, because each one of these is punishable. If somebody disrespects his parents, Allah will punish him. The same with killing. All these are punishable sins by Allah Azza wa Jalla, and some of them punished in this life, like stealing and killing and refusing to pay zakah. Abu Bakr did fight those who refused to pay zakah, which is the essence of economy in the world. So when you look into LGBT, is one of them, which is zina. And zina, whether it's with homosexual or heterosexual, is zina. And they're all actually punished in Islam. If the person came and asked for punishment, you don't go and check on people to punish them. In fact, it's very difficult in Islam. You need to have 4 eyewitnesses, and each witness has to be a very just witness. He never dropped salah, he never dropped zakah, he never committed any major sin or small sins, some of the small sins. So it has to be, if you want to have a just witness, which is called udul in Islam, probably you wouldn't find very few in a country. So it's very difficult to check and punish. But when people came to the Prophet ﷺ and wanted to be punished for zina, he did apply the sentence on them. So in the hadith, the biggest of the sin is associating partner of Allah Azza wa Jal, disrespecting parents, killing innocent person, and false witnessing, and make a false oath intentionally. If somebody wants to be clean for committing adultery, then it's up to the ruler of the country. But when you come to haram and halal in Islam, they are decided by Allah Azza wa Jal. The human rights, yes, you have a human right, but if you want to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, you want to have His rights. What He says haram, take it. If you don't want to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, He's free. If he doesn't want to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, doesn't want to believe in the hereafter, then whatever sin he want to commit, he's going to hell anyway. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَارَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا مُبِينًا. That no one, it's not fitting for a believer, man or a woman, when a matter has been decided by Allah and His Messenger, to have any option about their decisions. If anyone disobey Allah and His Messenger, he is indeed in a clear wrong path, and he will go to hellfire. Another ayah that he will his destiny will be hellfire. So you can't disobey Allah. So whether people say, oh, it's your human right or not, if Allah said haram, you just leave it. So you need to get people to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal first, and then they might, they have to obey Allah Azza wa Jal. So if it's allowed in a country, it's not against the law, but it's haram in Islam, it's haram in Islam. Now, when we look into 2010 Equality Act, Muslim teachers in schools are not allowed to tell a Muslim child that it's okay to eat pork, it's okay to drink alcohol, it's okay to gamble, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be lesbian, it's okay to change your sex. The teacher will be breaking the law under the 2010 Equality Act, because he's not supposed to encourage Muslims to act against their own religion, because he will be breaking the act in that. And many teachers break the law without knowing or without being challenged. So I am a Muslim. I'm obliged to obey Allah Azza wa Jal. My right as a Muslim is protected in this country with the 2010 Equality Act. So teachers shouldn't actually interfere. Allah Azza wa Jal didn't make haram the pure things and the nice things. So Allah Azza wa Jal is saying here, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ وَالطَّيِّبَاتِ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا خَالِصَةً يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كَذَلِكَ نُفَصِّلُ الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْلَمُونَ. It seems that what Allah made haram is actually the pure things and the clean things, and no one should make it haram. But anything which Allah made haram, obviously, is not a clean and it's not pure. And it's not for your best interest. So we take the haram and the halal, the good and the bad from Allah Azza wa Jal, because He's the creator. And that if you want to become Muslim, if you want to remain Muslim, and many people actually commit far much more sins than being lesbian or gay, and they're not challenged by other Muslims. But if somebody is gay, he is challenged. Why don't we challenge the person who have an affair? Why don't we challenge a person who actually gamble, a Muslim gambling, or a Muslim eating haram food or something? A second point, which is the third point, destination of those LGBT who practice. So if he doesn't practice, he will be rewarded for not practicing. Like if somebody doesn't drink alcohol, he will be rewarded for not drinking. Somebody doesn't eat pork, he will be rewarded for not eating pork. If he doesn't gamble, he will be rewarded for not gambling. So if he have the feeling that he is attracted to the same sex and he doesn't practice, or if he thinks that he is the wrong gender and he doesn't do anything, he doesn't mutilate himself, because Allah said that Iblis said that he will order man to even change the pure nature of Allah created people. So at the ayah, in the beginning, we asked them to mutilate animals, and the second part of the ayah, they will change the creation of Allah by some chopping their genitals or chopping their breast, or taking progesterone to become a female, or taking testosterone to become male. He's changing the nature, Allah's real, the true nature Allah created. And that's temptation from Iblis. So if somebody forced these ideas out of his mind, he will be rewarded for that, because they are shaitanic ideas. They're coming from Iblis. And this is what Allah told us. It's not my view or your view. Yes, Brother Ahmed. Yeah, you want to talk?
Sorry, no, I was going to add. So this is your khutbah yesterday on personal jihad.
Yeah.
So, if you have an urgency to, I don't know, sleep with another man, and if you can resist that for your life, then you'll be rewarded in Jannah.
Like the one who has pressure to like drink alcohol or take drugs or have an affair with illegal, sleep with a woman who is not his wife. But the destination of those who practice, there is in the Quran that Allah will never forgive the one who associates a partner with Allah. And if your parents force you to disbelieve in Allah, do not obey them, but be good to them. Treat them nicely in this life. But when it comes to lesbian, this ayah in Surah Al-Nisa, verse 15, those women who commit the lesbian act, they are treated like those who commit adultery. And you need to have 4 eyewitnesses seeing the act and 4 just witnesses. Then the leader or the ruler of the country will decide whether they should be punished or not. And the same for the males. If they committed the act, they will be punished by the leader according to the Quran. Most of Muslim countries do not apply this because basically there is no just eyewitnesses, and it's extremely hard to get 4 eyewitnesses seeing the act, people in the act. So there is punishment in this life for them. And it is in the Quran that it is fahisha, which is a type of zina. So Lut said to his people, you commit the zina, and this act, nobody committed it before you because you sleep with men out of desires, lust and desire, instead of sleeping with women. So the ayah, which is an act from shaitan, from Iblis, when they have temptation to change their sex, a transgender, it's here in this ayah, so Nisa 119, that he will order them, those who follow shaitan, follow Iblis, he will order them to change the nature, the creation of Allah. So always when you go to the tafsir, the books of tafsir in the old time, they refer to changing the animals or having tattoos or something. People never thought that a time will come when a man will inject himself with progesterone to become a woman, or body-wise, or inject herself with testosterone to look like a man, and their voice change and things, and chop her breast, or he chops his genitals. And Muslims are expected not to listen to shaitan. So if Allah will say that action is an order from shaitan, Muslims will have to disobey shaitan. So basically, if we go back to the very beginning, it is addressed in Islam that the soul have no gender. The man and the woman are equal on the soul level, the spiritual level. So no one can come and say, I am a man or I am a woman spiritually. When you look at yourself, if you have male genitalia, you are male. If you have female genitalia, you are female. You can't come and say, I'm a man in the body of a woman, or I'm a woman in the body of a man. Because both spirits of the man and spirits of the woman are the same. And that's, we've taken that from the ayah in Surah Al-Nisa, ayah number 1, the first ayah in Surah Al-Nisa, that we are created from a single soul, single spirit, and created similar spirit to it. And then Allah gave them the male and female body. He gives whoever he wishes a female body, whoever he wishes a male body. You cannot say, I am a man in the body of a woman, or vice versa. So the second point, the human rights, you might consider human rights that you can chop your genitals or not, but in Islam it's haram. If you want to be a Muslim, go to Jannah, you need to refrain from doing that. And who would say that? Allah. If you don't want to be a believer in God and you don't want to go to his Jannah, you can do whatever you like, because it doesn't matter, he's going to hell anyway. So will you go and convince a non-believer to not be gay or lesbian? No, because he's going to go to hell. You go and convince him to believe in God, and then take what God says and apply it to his life. I don't force or convince anybody to believe drinking alcohol or eating pork or gambling or whatever. The most important thing is to believe in God. If he doesn't want to believe in God, it's up to him. Allah said, "Id'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al hasana." You have to invite people to believe in God and then follow His way, the way of God. And the fourth one, people might claim to have been born from as a male or a female, The body is not in your choice. Yes, you've been given a body of a man, a body of a woman. The spirit, you're the same. But if you have temptation to sleep with the same sex and you oppose it, you get rewarded. If you commit that act, you'll be punished by Allah. The kaba'ir, by the way, all the kaba'ir, the 21 big sins, they are big sins because there is a punishment mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. So when I mentioned these 21 big sins, they're all mentioned to be, you know, like ما سلككم في سقر, what took you to hell? They would say because we were not praying. So not praying will take the person to hell. Not paying zakah will be punished in the day of judgment. The silver and gold will be heated and then they will be burned by the forehead and the side and the back. Stealing is punished in this life and the hereafter. Committing forbidden acts in Mecca, you can't, you know, they're not applying it here, but Allah will take it as a big sin and it's punished. And this is things in the Quran as well. Being despair from Allah's mercy. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إنما يقنط من رحمة الله الكافرون. In the Quran, will be kafir, the one who despair from the mercy of Allah. Taking the orphans' money. And those who take the orphans' money, they're eating fire in their stomach and they will be punished at the day of judgment. And the same for alcohol and things. So the 21 big sins are punished in this life. But if he doesn't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, all these sins, we said that irrelevant. And it's in the Quran that, you know, the one, Allah will not ask people about their sins if they didn't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. They'll be questioned, but the most important is the belief in Allah Azza wa Jal. Right, okay, I think I've finished what I want to say, but if you want to chop in and say things from what you heard, and do you think you can tackle the LGBT question easily in Islam after, you know, going through this?
You can, and this is the issue we had when Yusuf Hamza was elected as Scottish First Minister. A lot of people made a lot of noise because he said he didn't have an issue with gays and lesbians because they did not understand the concept. It is haram for a Muslim, but because he's a head of state, he can't deny their rights. So when he said he doesn't have an issue with it, he meant he doesn't have an issue with others, non-believers practicing it.
Because if you look into the 21 big sins, drinking alcohol is one of them, gambling one of them. If he is the head of the state, a Muslim, could he ban drinking alcohol or eating pork or gambling? He can tackle stealing, but he can he ban interest and punish the one who take interest? Most Muslims have mortgages and they pay interest. Many of them put their money.
Yeah, especially if you are head of state where you have different cultures, different religion.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go and say, oh, look, this is haram, this is halal. You know, you personally don't have to believe, and you can say it's not halal for the Muslim community, but you can't say it's haram for everyone, even the non-believers.
Yeah, it's haram for the Muslim if he wants to please Allah Azza wa Jal. If he doesn't care about Allah Azza wa Jal, even if he's a Muslim, you can do nothing to him. Many Muslims, I mean, I've seen Muslims drinking alcohol, I've seen Muslims, you know, dealing with drugs, and I was seeing a taxi driver in Casualty in Heartland, and he drank alcohol and he's under the influence of alcohol and he made the car crash and came to Casualty. So it's haram if he wants to please Allah Azza wa Jal. If he doesn't care about Allah Azza wa Jal, I'm not there to judge him. Do you believe in Allah? Yes, it's haram. Allah said haram. If you don't believe in Allah, go and believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. It's important if you don't want to go to hellfire. But when you come, yeah?
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Right. So like, general people think they are lesbian. How does it mixed up in your head? Why do people gay or
Can't
lesbian.
hear you. You're cutting, breaking, the sound breaking.
So,
Can you repeat the
so,
question?
yeah. So you being a psychiatric doctor,
Yeah.
why do you think some people think they are gay? No, I'm not talking about it's haram and halal.
From my
Why do you think-
experience, because I looked and they treated a lot of lesbians and gays and transsexual and things. One of 3 or 4 reasons, or 5, could be, more. Could be like a son being really had a very horrible mother, and she made his life hell, and he grew up hating women and become more attracted to the same sex, and vice versa. A girl who's hate, abused by her father, or hate, or made her life really difficult, she will hate men, and she might become attracted to female. Or could be a boy is being abused by relatives or friends or something, and you think this is normal, and you grow up being, that's lead him to be spotted also. Or gays the same, being abused. Or could be that he is very good looking. We call it Amrad, a boy which look like gays, and his colleagues keep telling him, "Oh, you are a gay, or you are a gay, you are a gay, you are." So you just he think he's a gay. So the cases I saw, but what you are unable to do is you can't go and treat them to convert them, because that's really illegal to do that. And secondly, you're not going to succeed. The best is that he believes in God and he leave that for the sake of God. Like, people who convert to Islam, they leave alcohol. They stop eating pork because they want
so
to please God.
the environmental issue, the way it's been brought up.
Yeah, a lot of it environmental, because they couldn't say it's a disease, and there's no identified, like, a gene in the body to say he's. In fact, you have the XX and XY to tell you are a man, you are a woman. And the feeling that it's like Hassan ibn Thabit, he has never been, to my knowledge, he hasn't married. And when he was protecting women and the Jew came to attack them, one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, she actually defended the women, and he couldn't take the sword and go and fight. But he didn't have that initiative. So you might have, people like this. What happened? They picked up by like evil people and try to groom them and make them, use them as sex objects or something. But you can't come and say it's a disease, and you can't come, because if it's a disease, Allah wouldn't punish them. But it's not a disease. It's he chose a way of life. Like somebody has temptation to drink alcohol, if he refrain, he will be rewarded. He has temptation to gamble, he has temptation to have an affair and sleep with women, and do all sorts of, take drugs, or but it's not a disease, and it is a temptation in this life. You need to force it away from you to please Allah Azza wa Jal. Any more input, or shall we? We have actually a couple of minutes left. We have 1 minute left. So I'll take you back to remind you from the beginning is it's duality. Is the spirit level is this, both men and women have the same spirit and the same consciousness, you could say. Human right decided by Allah Azza wa Jalla in Islam, which you have right to do or not to do. Human rights in other countries have their own choice, but if you want to be a Muslim, you follow what Allah said. And in Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries, things could be legal, but it's haram in Islam. It's like in Muslim countries, it's halal to marry 4 wives, but in Britain it's forbidden against the law. You can't do it, and vice versa. It's halal to gamble in this country, it's haram in Islam. If somebody born, and he claimed to be born as a gay, but he refrained from practicing, he will